let it all work out. Sometimes you may be confused. Sometimes you might be anxious on how things are going to play out. And you're curious about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And the answer to that question is let it all work out. Let life play out the way it's meant to play out. And when you're ambitious about creating a life, you can't be so restrained on the outcome of every situation. You need to let the universe do what it's meant to do. And it's going to do amazing things for you once you finally let go and unclench your fists. You know, when you're constantly like this, life can't bless you. The universe can't do nothing for you. You are controlling the outcome of all your blessings. You think that this needs to get done like this needs to get done like that. You are creating the end goal without producing any action. You know, worry about the intention more than the outcome. If you know that you're trying to show up as someone different, focus on what that person does instead of what that person receives, because eventually you'll get to a point where you'll reap the benefits of that person just by doing what that person does. The most interesting part of life, which is the surprise. You know, me personally, I love surprise. And, you know, especially when it's something that I've been waiting for. You know, you never know when you're going to receive your blessings, but if you're patient and you trust the unknown and you know that what you want is on its way and that you are ready to receive what you want, all you have to do is wait. You can wake up tomorrow and your whole life can change. You can go to sleep today and have to plan for a whole new life. And it's so beautiful to know that life can just go from this to this. And you have to be free flowing. You know, life is not trying to get in your way. When you make these false accusations that life is in your way, that's when things start to get in your way, because you are the artist of the painting you are painting. So if you want some obstacle in front of you, you will do exactly that. You will form mountains when there should be a clear path. You will draw yourself a cloudy, rainy day when there should be sun. So let go of your will to grip onto every situation and be free flowing. You do not need to control every aspect of your life for life to be amazing. And once you recognize that, you will be able to live a very peaceful life, because a peaceful person isn't worried about every single outcome. Someone who is truly at peace is worried more, or not even worried, but focused on intention. You know, what is your intention in your day to day? And your intentions will lead you to outcomes themselves. So often we get caught up in outcomes when we aren't even taking action. So, for instance, if you have this idea that you want to start a business and you're already thinking about all the problems within that business without even starting, you've already talked yourself out of doing something that could change your life because you're afraid of the unknown, and your neediness and wanting to control every outcome in your life. You just avoid the problem instead of facing it directly. You know, I would much rather be the person who takes action instead of, you know, just being hesitant because of what I might face down that road. You know, you have to be ambitious in a way where fear can't even amount to that. I have that written on my wall, that my purpose is bigger than my fear and that I will pivot regardless of whatever is in my way. And I truly believe that if you focus more on the action and intention which you're trying to take in your everyday life, you will become some person who is able to deal with any inconvenience in the way instead of focusing on the inconvenience and not trying to be that person. You know, a lot of people want to change their lives, but a lot of people don't want to deal with life changing problems. You know, you have to become accustomed to thinking differently. Yes, there will be obstacles along the way, but let that day deal with itself. Take action today. Don't let your fears of the unknown stop you from doing something today. You are so capable of becoming the person you want to be. You are so capable of building the business that you want to build. You are so capable of meeting the people that you want to meet. You just have to get up and do something. Let life do the unimaginable. And how you let life do the unimaginable is let go of your need to control. A really good book, The Four Agreements. There's a chapter where they go on to say if you do your best always over and over again, you will become a master of transformation. Practice makes the master. Everything you have ever learned, you learn through repetition. So when you're trying to become this new person and you're assuming a new identity, you need to let go of what did not serve you in your past life. And something that I've recognized is that in my past, I had this need to control every single person, every single outcome, and it led me nowhere. When I finally gave up control over certain areas in my life, like the will to control someone else or the will to control certain outcomes, I let life unfold for me. And now I'm in this position where things kind of gravitate towards me. Because if you're trying to control something, you're basically saying that same thing is running away from you. Your dream life is not running away from you. If you think there's always going to be a problem and only you can solve that problem, and that the wonders of this world don't work in your favor enough to help you out or to even shape you as a person to be even capable of solving that problem. You talk yourself out of certain friendships, out of relationships, out of work opportunities because you're leading with fear, that you need to be in control of everything because everyone else or the world in general is just going to mess it up. And what I realized is I was probably the one messing my life up. I talked about this in another video. You are not your enemy, so stop acting like your enemy. Sometimes we intentionally get in our own way subconsciously because of our fear of life being good on its own. We think that life needs to be beautiful under our command. We think that life needs to be free flowing under our control. We think that life can only be good if we are the one controlling every outcome. And that is not the reality. I want to remind you life can be amazing on its own, and you don't need to control every aspect of life. What you should focus on is just being accountable, take action, be disciplined, and focus on what helps you grow as a person. Don't be afraid to start that business. Don't be afraid to fail. Any inconvenience is in the world saying stop being ambitious. Any inconvenience is in the world saying you shouldn't be a dreamer. Any inconvenience is in the world saying you should stop being you. When you are facing difficult moments or you're in any situation that's uncomfortable, it's a moment for you to reflect and grow as a person. Take a second to respond differently, and you'll realize when you respond differently, life responds differently to you.